Why conspiracy theories are like a religion. Firstly, they require no real proof, but lots of people just believe. Take the FEMA and Rex 84 concentration camp conspiracy. There are claims that 600 to 800, or even 3,000, depending on where you read, plus prison camps were built for martial law, and they exist in this country. Some of the lists out there have locations that you can go and check out. I even used to live inside of an area that was labeled by conspiracy theorists as having a Rex 84 camp and a FEMA detention facility. I lived in a World War II era building that had been renovated for housing soldiers at Fort Drum, New York. It was actually a pretty nice barracks by Army standards. The way the building was made and the area surrounding it did not resemble a prison. I can testify as someone who recently lived at Fort Drum for a period of a few years that nearly every building on Fort Drum was occupied and used for legitimate military purposes. With the addition of a 3rd Brigade, Fort Drum was busting at the seams to accommodate people, and the only new construction on post were for more houses to fit them, not prisons. Furthermore, there is no room on Fort Drum for a prison camp to be built without thousands of people seeing it. The only way to use Fort Drum as a prison would be to suspend its current use as a military base. And why would our government do that? Wouldn't they need the Army posts, especially the one for the most deployable division, up and running in case of martial law? Use your heads, people. If the coming martial law is going to target gun owners and people with college degrees, then why don't you logically assume that gun stores will be the new police stations, and colleges will be used as detention facilities? After all, under martial law, these places will no longer serve a purpose, but military bases will. Secondly, there are profits. After my first video about how Fort Drum is not a detention facility, it only took an hour for my first comment to come in, and I was called all types of names and expletives and told to get a clue and to Google search for Alex Jones. I found this particularly funny because I used Google Earth on the video to show people around Fort Drum and to show that there is no prison, and that there isn't any room for one, let alone the two purported to be there. But the guy says, well, that's not proof of anything. So using Google Earth to show where there isn't a base isn't proof of anything, but then in the next breath he tells me to Google Alex Jones. I guess some guy who just lived and worked at Fort Drum for years and knows it like the back of his hand, who uses Google Earth to demonstrate that, isn't proof of anything. But Alex Jones, why, he's always right. Just Google it. No real proof is required to believe in FEMA concentration camps. If there are 600 of them, which is the low estimate, then shouldn't each state have about a dozen? So where are they? Just like how no proof of God is needed to be religious, the CT just takes it on faith. Furthermore, no real proof can shake their belief either, whether it's carbon dating for religious folks or my first-hand knowledge and experience of Fort Drum not being a prison. Nobody cares if it goes against what the prophet says. So I guess Alex Jones is to the CTs as Joseph Smith is to Mormons or L. Ron Hubbard is to Scientologists. A brief aside, I can't find anything on Prison Planet about FEMA camps. Can anybody send me a link? The list of FEMA camps I always find doesn't have a listed author or any explanation of how it came to be. 3. There's always a convenient way around the facts. If you ask a religious person why there are dinosaur bones, they might say, well, God put them here to test our faith. Of course, how could I forget? God has magic powers. God can do anything. Similarly, if you ask someone why Google Earth doesn't show any of these FEMA camps on Fort Drum, or really anywhere, they will tell you it's because the government is so powerful they could do anything, and they alter all kinds of images to hide things. And me, who has actually been on the ground and walked around Fort Drum and never saw a prison of any sort, well, I must be an agent or lying. 4. The end times conspiracy are the same as the end times in religion. The rapture of Protestantism goes like this. All the people that are having lots of fun right now, who have lots of money, lots of sex, are wicked, evil, sinful bastards who don't believe, and their bubble will be burst because all that godless, hedonistic fun will be over, and they'll be destroyed by Raptor Jesus. Okay, I made that last part up. But still, the people who have fun right now will perish later for the things that they did not believe. And the people who aren't having any fun right now, the good Christians who aren't having lots of sex, who aren't greedy and rich, who don't have a big wardrobe and a flashy car, it'll all be worth it for them in the end, because the rapture will transcend them to heaven on a white horse. The conspiracy theory rapture is practically the same. The people who stockpile rice and canned goods and assault rifles will be the truly rich people once the NWO apocalypse comes, and the sheeple and Porsches, well, they'll just perish. Furthermore, people buying e-foods after listening to Alex Jones radio ads always say that they won't be the ones, quote, waiting in the bread lines. I won't be the one waiting in the bread line. Kind of sounds like I won't be the one burning in hell. Sound familiar? It's because basically stated they both have the same message. Because of my superior knowledge, I will be saved and you will suffer. The NWO takeover is just a loose plagiarism of the rapture. Number 5, it covers up people's insecurities. If you're a conspiracy theorist and you don't have a really good job and you don't really want to do much to improve yourself, just pretending that it's all going to implode anyway is a great way to assure yourself that trying isn't necessary. Some religious folks don't worry about the ozone because God has a planned destruction on Earth soon anyway. Don't you see a familiarity with that? Well, if you think that police are out there to violate people's rights, or that it's the media's job to lie, then why not become a policeman and get paid to enforce the law in a constitutional way? You can personally make sure that you don't search people illegally or beat someone. Why not get a degree in journalism and go work at a newspaper? Eventually, if you do either of these career paths, you could be a sheriff and make sure that none of the police are crooked, or you could be an editor and always make sure the truth is told. But that would require a proactive attitude. And number